going on this week in terms of news. We were a little light, but the stories that we do have are actually pretty impactful, especially if we've been playing games for quite a while. So we're going to go ahead and jump into those now. First things first, in our 5 top stories, we have trouble in the Activision Blizzard marriage. So what's going on there?
Yes, so it seems like Activision is losing their patience with Blizzard.
Mm-hmm.
This is something I predicted right when they announced this merger or this purchase.
Yeah.
Activision wants Blizzard to pump out games more often, and Blizzard wants to maintain their creative control, and now they're starting to bump heads.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about cutting costs because Blizzard is not putting out enough games to to justify their capital expenditure.
Right.
And it's just it's a tale of two stories.
It's not a good look.
I thought this was always going to happen. I'm sorry. I mean, Activision is all about the big title every year.
Yeah, the yearly release.
Yep, Call of Duties and all of that stuff. And Blizzard is more of the slow burn. We'll do expansions. We'll do microtransactions. We'll do updates, but we're not putting a new game out until we're damn well ready. And
right.
That's a major culture clash.
Yeah. And you can ask any like huge fan of Blizzard games, with the recent announcement of the mobile Diablo, this is the completely out of their realm. As far as like how they usually do things as a company. A lot of people, if you asked them, years ago, if you thought that Blizzard would make a mobile Diablo game, they would tell you not in a million years, because that's just not how they conduct business. But it seems like things are definitely changing. Blizzard has been influenced by Activision, at least in some capacity, to create this game. And it looks like, they want them to go even further. It's not just enough to, put all of the, and, we had the announcement that, more Blizzard titles are going to be coming to mobile.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's not enough just to have all of the titles on mobile, with all the insidious microtransactions that comes with that. But they want more releases and not 5 years apart.
Right, and that's the Activision strategy. So, like I said, it is definitely a culture clash. I mean, Blizzard had been working pretty much separate or outside of what Activision was doing.
Right.
But it seems like Activision now is trying to rein it in, and it kind of makes sense now that like people wonder, why is Blizzard doing these mobile games, and this is the reason, right?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting what happens, because at the end of the day, Blizzard doesn't control the ship. Activision controls the ship. Activision is the boss,
right?
And what they say is going to go. And unfortunately, that may mean Overwatch 2 and Overwatch 3 and Overwatch 4 for the next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, and because they've been in the freaking Game Awards for best ongoing game for this is the third year in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Because Overwatch, it could have definitely had a sequel by now, but I mean, instead of doing that, they've just been releasing these new characters and maps for free.
Right.
That definitely goes against what Activision normally does.
Right, because that stuff will all be paid DLC.
Exactly.
As well as, because they do have the microtransactions with their loot boxes.
True.
But the way Activision will work is it'll be both. The characters will be DLC, and you still have to pay for the loot boxes.
And not to mention the stages as well.
Right.
I mean, they would probably be entered into some kind of season pass or whatever, and then 6 months after the game was launched, you would hear announcements for the next game. That's how Activision
works.
Yeah, that's how they work. So we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be very interesting to see how this goes going forward. I'm just surprised that Blizzard held out on doing their own thing for so long.
Right.
Because they were acquired by Activision when
2007.
Yeah, and since 2007 they've pretty much been separate from Activision in terms of their game releases and announcements and stuff. They kind of been doing their own thing.
Right.
The only time where you really would think about them as like a whole company is when you hear the title Activision Blizzard. It was like because they're like they merged, but
right.
You know, and Blizzard games are Blizzard games.
I think this is also this may also have to do with pressure on Activision from their investors, where they're not performing as well as they were speculated or hoping to perform.
And that's because the rate that they grew in when the whole loot box thing, you know, was taken off, that was growth at exponential rate. You know, they never seen nothing like that. It was unsuspected. Yeah, it's unsustainable. Well. Yeah, and they want more of that same growth, and it's not feasible.
Right.
But they want to try. So, well, we'll have to wait and see. It's a very interesting topic. We might have to do a long form on that particular topic in itself. But yeah, well, Activision Blizzard, you know, bumping heads for the first time, you know, publicly since the acquisition.
Since the acquisition, yeah.
It's a pretty interesting time in gaming. But we'll definitely be coming back to that story at a later date. Let's go ahead and move on to the next story in our 5 top stories for this week. And next up, we have FIFA 18, or is it FIFA 19?
This is FIFA 19. Well, it's not really. They're playing FIFA 19, but this is This is the E-League, the EMLS. And if you're unfamiliar, MLS, Major League Soccer, that's the North American. I would say American, but I think there's a Toronto team in there. A team, Toronto FC, I think is one of the teams. But it's a North American soccer league. It's the North American answer to like Premier League or La Liga or whatever.
Okay.
So EMLS, they have the same type of format as the NBA 2K League, where there's an esports team to match and is run by the corresponding professional team.
Okay.
And they are now expanding. They're adding 3 more teams. So now it's going to be 22 teams, and that leaves only 2 teams without esports representation. The 3 new teams they're adding are Atlanta United, DC United, and FC Cincinnati. The 2 teams that are yet to get a team is Los Angeles FC, which from my understanding is one of the newer teams in the league, and then Real Salt Lake.
Okay.
So, you know, we talked about, was it last week or the week before, where H1Z1 Esports was folded because of lack of interest. Where this league is expanding, and it's 2 reasons. One, there is interest, but 2, they're backed by Major League Soccer and EA, 2 entities with deep pockets that again are able to sustain losses or even sustain break-even years. Yeah, and continue the expansion.
Yeah, and man, it has been pretty crazy when you think about, you know, the growth, the rate of growth when it comes to esports. And you know, and what's really surprising for me is how they're able to come out with this and, you know, promote this with all the controversy that's going around with EA and with FIFA as a whole. You know, we talked about, you know, a few episodes ago how EA is going to fight the Belgium Gaming Commission on whether or not the loot boxes in the FIFA Ultimate Team is considered gambling. They're gonna fight them on that front.
Yep. That is a major revenue generator. We also mentioned that the one guy in I forgot what country was. He's a European guy who looked at his transactions in FIFA Ultimate Team and realized he had spent about $10,000 over the course of a couple of years. Ridiculous. In those microtransactions.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. I'm not sure, you know, what's gonna have to change in order to, you know, fix this, because it is definitely a problem. They're definitely preying on people's, addictive nature, so to speak. But you know, with them expanding their E-League, that only means that they are expecting this to grow. You know, only 2 of the remaining teams don't have esports representation, and I would suspect that they're going to get it, you know, as soon as they get the players ready. You know,
maybe next season.
Right. Because this is the second season that's about to start in 2019, right?
Yeah, this is the second season. What I realize, what I think is smart about this, and even the NBA 2K League, is they have their seasons outside of the professional season. The EMLS league is after the Major League Soccer season is over. The NBA 2K19 league is towards the end and after the actual NBA league season is over.
Yeah.
So that's pretty smart on them. So
it is, because they don't want to have to compete for your attention. You can watch both.
Exactly.
You can spend money on both. Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. Not sure what's gonna happen with this. I'm not a huge sports gaming fan. Like, I definitely don't play sports simulators, but FIFA is the biggest. Well, soccer is the biggest sport in the world, and we were talking off camera about this. EA now has exclusive rights to make soccer games.
Yep.
Because
they did what they did. They did in FIFA what they did in Madden. They got all the relevant licenses, and they're exclusive to EA.
So now they're going to go the same route as that Madden's been going, where they haven't had any competition. And I believe that the lack of competition breeds complacency, and so you'll get an inferior product going forward. Because you see what competition did to NBA Live.
It crushed it, and I mean, and we see what's happening with Madden, right? I mean, Madden is okay game, but they haven't really made any
innovations.
Yeah, exactly. No innovation. Is essentially the same game every year.
Yeah, and I'm just waiting for that freaking bubble to pop where people are just like, all right, I'm sick of this. We're not buying this game. I just want a freaking revolution, man. But people love their soccer. They love their football. Yeah, they love it. They love it. But that's neither here or there. Let's go ahead and move on to the next story. And this was actually pretty fun. I'm actually gonna have a good time talking about this one, because we have actually just witnessed the rise of a new world record when it comes to gamer score. And you might be thinking, like, what the heck is a gamer score? Well, when you play games on Xbox, you get achievements, and that adds to your overall gamer score. And somebody just broke the new record of 2 million gamer score.
First player ever to make 2 million. In fact, it's the same guy that was the first player to make 1 million gamer score. His name is I have it here. His name is Ray Cox, also known as Stallion 83. He actually live streamed the achievement. He earned his 2 millionth achievement point or gamer score point by getting the Legend achievement in the Halo 2 in the Master Chief Collection. And that's fitting, considering that is like one of the pinnacle Xbox games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it only took him about 4 years to go from 1 million to 2 million, I should say.
I don't even know what my gamer score is. I've had the same account. I think my account is 11 years old. And I have nowhere near 1 million gamer score, man. I'm not even close.
I don't have 100,000. I think last time I checked it was like 52. I'm gonna look right now. Because it's not even 52, it's 38.
38. Can you see mine's on there?
Let's see.
Because I don't have the capacity to bring mine up right now. But yeah, man.
Are you logged in?
Nah.
Yes, you are. Wait,
am I?
Why?
Might be on my phone or something.
I don't see your name anywhere.
It's all good. It's not that much.
96,000.
Okay, so I'm almost at 100,000. All right, cool. But yeah, a new record has been broken. And this is actually pretty cool. Back in the day, especially during the Xbox 360 era, achievement hunting was definitely a thing. It was rampant in video gaming. I partaked in it to a certain degree.
Yeah, I remember back on the 360 in the 360 days, a lot of people were releasing these ID at Xbox. You remember the indie store? And people were releasing junk games with max achievement score. And they were selling them because the achievement hunters, they release it for $1 and sell 10,000 copies because 10,000 people are 100 achievements, and they made
Yeah.
the achievements dead easy in there.
Yeah, I remember those. I may or may not have played a few just to get my gamer score up. But nonetheless, this is an amazing achievement. Congratulations to was it Stallion 83?
Yes, Stallion 83. Yep.
Congratulations to him for breaking a record, and breaking the record on such a legacy Xbox title too. Freaking Master Chief Collection. I remember Halo Combat Evolved was one of the first games I played on the original Xbox, and from then I was an Xbot for life. I fell in love. It was love at first sticky bomb. So congratulations to him. This is definitely an achievement for him. No pun intended. Trying to be funny. I'm not sure if I'm hitting. Let's go ahead and move on. We have a couple more stories that were the top trending for this week. So let's go ahead and jump into those. Next up, we have another person that reminds me of the old school Xbox days, and that's Cliff Bleszinski. Yeah. People may know him more recently for being the head of the now defunct game. Oh God, what was it called?
Lawbreakers.
Lawbreakers, yes. And what was his team called? God damn.
Boss Key Productions.
Boss Key Productions. Yes, he is now the that's what he's known as right now. They actually developed another game, the Radical Heights game, that was in like super early access.
That was an alpha, but that was also the same company, right? Yeah, that was also
that was the same company. Yeah, it was their attempt to jump into the battle royale market, where Lawbreakers was their attempt to jump into the hero shooter market. Right. And both attempts failed pretty miserably. Yeah. But I know Cliff Bleszinski as being the head director of Epic Games. Back when they developed the Gears of War franchise for exclusive to Xbox.
That's where he made his
PC.
Name.
Yeah, that's where
he's made his name.
Yeah, that's where he made his name. That's where he would come up on stage at E3 with the chainsaw rifle and being all cool and stuff. But yeah, he has essentially sworn off making games forever.
Yeah, I see this. And I think because it was basically essentially a Twitter rant, and I think this was a emotional response, and I think it may change down the road. But I mean, I get his point. So basically, what happened is some user tweeted at him about how he would refund players when Lawbreakers closed. The players, he said something to the point where I brought this so you can keep up content, and you close anyway, you should give me my money back.
Right.
And he responded by saying, look, I had to pay my employees. I had to make sure they maintain their health care for a period. And for months after they folded, and 401ks. He didn't take a salary himself for 2 years.
Right.
And, he's like, this is why I'm never making the game again. And to be quite honest, and then he put the meme, the Tyrion meme.
Yeah, the Tyrion meme.
I do not give.
Behold, all the fucks I do not give.
Yeah, so he did that, and I can relate to him because at the end of the day, the studio went out of business. It's not like they just said, "I'm closing.
We're closing up shop. We're done." It was like, no, they crashed and burned.
Right, they ran out of money, and legally, unlike with Telltale, that's why Telltale Games is getting in trouble.
Yeah, they're being sued.
Yeah, they have to have like 3 months of salary and healthcare benefits and such for their employees, and it looks like Boss Key had that, and that's what he did with the last bit of capital for the company.
Yeah. And money may have even come out of his pocket personally.
Right. So he actually did the right thing. And for some random Twitter user to skew him up over it, I can see where the frustration would really boil over. Yeah. Because not only did he lose his business, I mean, it's something you're passionate about. You're excited. I'm starting my own business. I'm making this great game, which from all reports, Lawbreakers wasn't a bad game.
No,
it was kind of difficult to get in, and it's just the time of the release was hard on it.
It was just in the peak of Overwatch mania,
right.
And then we already had like other alternatives to Overwatch like Battleborn and and what have you. There were, essentially not a place for another hero shooter in the current market.
In the current, right, exactly. It's just when it's a bad release because it had been in production. It's around the same time as Overwatch. It's not like they saw Overwatch and came out with this game. They have been working on this game back around the same time as Overwatch was being worked on. It's just they came out a little bit later, and Overwatch was just all over. It's just Overwatch was the hero shooter.
Exactly.
And Lawbreakers couldn't crack that egg.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's unfortunate. And then we learned after Boss Key had closed its doors, we actually learned that, some of the decisions that were made over there weren't decisions that Cliff Bleszinski actually, wanted for his company. Radical Heights was a last-ditch effort to, make a splash in, gaming, but that wasn't, a game that they necessarily wanted to make.
Right.
And we learned later on that, Cliffy B had ideas to make some pretty interesting titles that were never going to see the light. They're never going to see the light of day.
Right.
Which is
the publisher. I forgot who his publisher was.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, they didn't seem like a great company to work with.
Yeah. And so that mixed with just poor timing just meant the demise of everything that he was trying to do. And it sucks, but I do applaud him again for doing the right thing by his employees, because gamers not gravitating towards your product is not the fault of the people that are working on it. The people that put their heart, soul, and hours into making a product, they're not the ones that are at fault when unfortunate things like this happen. So for him to, continue to, pay his employees even after the company folded and make sure that they were set and squared away, I mean, that's just being responsible right there. There's no amount of, BS that anybody can throw at me that would make me change my opinion on that.
Right, exactly.
Because he definitely did the right thing.
Right, and like I said, this could be a very emotional response. It may not be something set in stone. I mean, the studio just closed like 3 months ago.
Yeah, it wasn't even that long ago.
So he's still in that period, from disbelief to mourning to being upset to he still haven't cleared. I mean, it's not something that you get over right away, and it's his life's work, and it's a major disappointment. So I mean, Cliffy B when you look at some of the concepts that he released, it looks like he still has some good ideas. He revolutionized the third person. He helped revolutionize the third person shooter.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, he has some good ideas. He has the talent and the ability. Hopefully we see him. Epic Games, they might have a slot for him. Bring him back. I'm sorry, not Epic Games. The Coalition. That's who's doing Gears now, right?
Yeah, the Coalition is doing Gears right now. Yeah. I mean, it'll be nice, and it'll definitely be unfortunate to have such a creative person, just never make games again.
Right.
I really do hope that he continues to make games. Whether or not he takes like an extended break or not, I would like to see something from him in the future, because I really do think that he's a creative person and deserves deserves to get his products out there.
He should give Microsoft a call, considering that they're bringing back all this in-house gaming development talent.
Exactly. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing him back.
Yeah, his name is a little too big in the industry for him to just like go away. At least that's my perception of it. So. Yeah. Hopefully this was just an emotional response to a shitty question on Twitter.
And
we'll actually
trolls, man.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll see something from Cliff Bleszinski further down the line.
Yeah.
But that's going to do it for that story. We have one more story in our 5 top stories, and looky what we got here. We have a story about GameStop.
Yeah,
Power
GameStop
to the players.
Yeah, GameStop has been on the struggle bus for the past few years.
Oh yeah.
And the main reason is the transition from physical to digital copies. I mean, I essentially exclusively only do digital copies, so GameStop is not on my radar.
Yeah.
Although I did buy my headsets from them because they're the only ones in the area that had them.
I mean, and for me, even if I do get a physical copy, I'm ordering from like Amazon or something like that. You know, I rarely go into GameStop. I don't really sell my used games anymore. You know, I'm trying to build my collection. So they don't really get a lot of business out of me either. But the story that we have today is that GameStop has sold off its mobile division, and this was something.
I don't think it's complete yet. It's plans to sell.
They're selling off their mobile division.
Mobile division, yeah. So,
and this is weird because I didn't even know they had a mobile division. That's how much I don't go there.
Remember, they started selling cell phones a little while back. That's around the time they started building this service up. Basically, what it is, Spring Mobile, they operate wireless AT&T wireless stores. So not the corporate ones. You ever see those stores? I think Verizon has them too, maybe even Sprint, where it says it'll say the name of the store and then it'll say a Verizon
official Verizon vendor or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. It's the same type of thing. It'd be like it's an official AT&T partner, I think is what it says.
Yeah.
So they had like almost 1,289 of those stores. They're going to be selling that to a company called Prime Communications.
Okay.
It looks like it's going to be $700 million sale. Ooh. And they plan on taking that money and putting it back into the gaming and collectibles portion of their business.
Okay.
So it looks like they're going to expand their collectibles. And if you've been in a GameStop recently, and I was, they do have a pretty large selection of collectibles.
They got T-shirts, they got statues. They have the freaking guidebooks, but we talked about that a while ago. Prima is going out
into April.
Prima's going out of business. I really hope that they make a Smash Bros Ultimate, and I'm gonna buy the hell out of it because
as a collectible.
Just as a collectible. That's the main reason why I really bought those guidebooks. It wasn't because I want to read through and find out how to do everything. The only time I actually used one was for Pokemon because I couldn't find all the Pokemon. It was Diamond and Pearl, I believe. Me and O did that shit. It was awesome. But yeah, a lot of collectibles in there. Clothes, hats, everything. Socks.
They're definitely trying to pivot. I mean, they're gonna, and I've also noticed they carry a lot more hardware. Where before they only carried just the essentials. They have a lot more niche type hardware stuff to go with your like
accessories and stuff.
Accessories, yeah. So it looks like they expanded in that way as well. I mean that's pretty smart, especially with accessories, because accessories have always been high margin items, and they're definitely going to need that. They're gonna have to do something because eventually there's the physical sales are going to be less than what the digital sales are.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you can actually buy digital games from GameStop as well. But then, that's not where their business model usually is, because they are in the business of reselling you games. They want you to trade in your games. That way that they can in turn resell them, and they don't give any of that profit to the developers at all. That's all in-house right there. But yeah, since there hasn't really been much of a physical presence in games, or a decreased amount of physical copies, they just haven't been making the same kind of money that they've been making. I remember we talked about a while ago how they were going to be opening up more retro style GameStop stores. I haven't really seen that, at least in this area. I believe they actually started backing off on that plan to open those stores. Yeah,
I think I saw a story probably sometime over the summer, beginning of the summer, that that didn't really work out as well as they thought, and they were going to be backing off of that.
It's unfortunate because I'm pretty sure they have a surplus of retro games that have just been traded in over the years that they haven't been able to do anything with, just like locked away in some kind of like storage unit or some warehouse or something. That are just gonna sit for forever. It's kind of sad.
They gotta figure out something to do with it. And hopefully it's not the Atari method. We know what that is.
Yeah, buried in landfill.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you can do is when you purchase online at GameStop, that's where you can actually get some of their retro content, which is pretty cool.
Well, this is the state of GameStop right now. They were quite literally this weekend giving away Xbox 360s. You buy the Xbox 360 for $75, and they gave you a $75 mail-in rebate.
Damn.
So I mean, that's the thing, and people are like, oh, how could they do that? The thing is, with rebates, it's a racket. So they'll give you a rebate, and there's a certain percent of people that
is not going to do it.
And that's where they keep the money. They keep that money. So, but yeah, I mean, they're struggling, and it's a multitude of reasons, but the main reason is the shift from physical to digital distribution.
Yeah, I mean, and companies like Microsoft, they foresaw this,
right? And
they wanted to go only digital, not only because it was the future, but because they're losing out on a lot of sales that way. There's been a huge fight against resales, especially last generation. Last gen, we had the DRM where you had to have the disc in order to
the console, to play it. Yeah,
man, it was crazy.
And that's Microsoft was trying to get rid of that this generation, and it was some backlash. And in retrospect, I wonder if GameStop has something to do with some of the vitriol that was around that, because that's a direct shot at their business. But I mean, you can't stop the change. I mean, it's just rolling down the hill. You can try to slow it down. You put some obstacles in the way, but eventually it's going to blow through those, and that change will come, and it is happening now.
Yeah.
So they expect to finish the transaction by the end of the fiscal year, which is March 31st of 2019.
Okay.
And so they're going to get $700 million and see if they spend it well.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. I actually worked at GameStop for a number of years. In my late high school and early college years, I worked as a GameStop employee. And while that was its own separate issue that I have with GameStop, GameStop is a store. I don't know. It just didn't in this current landscape as far as game. It just doesn't seem sustainable. They're not going to be reselling games at the rate that they were, previous generations. And, from the looks of it going forward, there's going to be even less of a physical presence for games going forward.
Exactly.
With everything running off the cloud or, stuff like that.
Right. So, exactly. Digital is the way to go. And publishers realize this too. It's cheaper for them to sell games digitally because they don't have to worry about the logistics of printing discs and printing cases and shipping it and warehouse. They don't have to worry about all of that stuff.
Yeah, warehouse space.
They just put one version of it up on a server somewhere, and we just get copies. And it doesn't cost them anything to sell copies of that master version. So.
Yeah, I mean, and even right now, consoles aren't running the games off the disc. The disc doesn't actually run the game. You download the game to your hard drive anyway, and then the disc just has the executable on it. That's it.
That's it. Yep, that's it. It runs just enough to run that executable, and then off you go. Oh, yeah. And that's actually not even a developer design. That's a hardware limitation because they're on Blu-ray disc. The Blu-ray disc is so dense. The read speed isn't fast enough to keep up with what you need to play the game.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. GameStop might be going the way of the Steam Link pretty soon.
The Steam Link or Toys R Us, right?
Oh yeah. Oh god. Rest in peace, man. Rest in peace, Toys R Us.
First year without Toys R Us, and man, I struggled. I was trying to get my Christmas present for a 2-year-old Power Wheels, and dude, it's hard. Nobody has it, and then I found it, and there's the store was selling it at $50 more than normal plus $30 shipping. It was what the heck?
Oh my goodness!
Get out of here!
Man, sit and spin. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens with GameStop. If anything else comes from this, we'll definitely let you guys know. But that's gonna end it for our 5 top stories here on the show. We hope you guys enjoyed our opinions on it, and we would love to know yours as well. because like I said earlier, this is like a discussion show. You know, we bring you the news, we give our opinions, and then we want to hear from you guys. So reach out to us, whether it's in the comments, if you're watching on YouTube, or via our social media platforms. You know, just reach out to us. Let us know what you're thinking about this story or any of the stories that we've been talking about today. And you know, we'll definitely like to keep the conversation going. You know, we like to get that dialogue started with you guys.